Welcome to the first ever Twain Clothiers podcast. I'm here with my co-founder, Sterling Benkhart, and we are going to talk about all things Twain. We're going to give everyone a little background on how we started the company, our love for clothing and design, our future for the company, which I think is pretty exciting, and anything else that might pop up along the way. So Sterling, thanks for coming on the first episode of the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I think it would be cool to start by talking about kind of how the company got started. So our junior year of high school, I went over Sterling's house for a weekend, and earlier that week, we were sitting in the back of the dining hall, and we looked out and we saw probably like a half a dozen kids with the same Patagonia fleece on.
Oh god, yeah, and different variations too.
Yeah, so we saw like a half a dozen kids with almost the exact same Patagonia fleece on, and then probably another dozen different fleeces on.
Yeah,
And like, if you've seen a Patagonia fleece, it's a very specific design.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you're getting that, like you're trying to stand out, you're trying to be an individual, be a little unique, and
yeah. Then it kind of works against you because then other people who have it stick out, and then it's all just the same at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're not really unique if you have the exact same thing on that somebody else has. So we went to Strong's house that weekend. We went to
We had my mom drive us to, I think it was Joanne Fabrics. It's, close to my house, and yeah, we just kind of like mulled about, found some fabrics that we liked. We had the idea that we wanted to do a fleece, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we got there was a pre-cut pattern that we could lay over the fabric. We just kind of found some cool random fabrics, got it cut, got some buttons, some like leather piping, and tried to tackle it ourselves.
That's my favorite part, is I think that we thought that we could make fleece from scratch, and we had no idea how to sew.
Yeah,
and
no.
Then...
I knew that my mom had a sewing machine, and I was like, oh yeah, it'll be...
Yeah, we'll just figure this out. Zero
experience
whatsoever. Yeah. Just make a fleece.
No problem. So I think we ended up, we were like, it was like
we stayed up till like 2 or 3 in the morning, like cutting everything out. We laid out like these patterns that we got. It's like, whatever. It was It was like a little packet that told you how to cut everything correctly. We cut everything. We like got the sewing machine out, and we were like
5 minutes in, we're like, yeah,
we can't sew.
But luckily, my mom had a friend who was really good at sewing, so we just ended up packing it all up and sending it out to her. And a couple weeks later, came back and they're awesome. I still wear it today, and I get tons of compliments on it. People tell me we should like
actually make some fleeces.
Those, which I mean, yeah, I'm definitely.
We will make them someday in the future.
Definitely a bit of a process as we saw, but
yeah. But what I think is funny about that too is I still remember like wearing those the next day to school, and people were like, "What? Where'd you get those?" And we're like, "We made them."
Yeah.
And people were like, "No, you didn't. Shut up." We're like, "No, like we made them."
People ask me, "Where'd you get that?" I said, "Oh, we made it. So one of a kind piece." And they're like, "Oh my god, you need to make me one." So
yeah,
that definitely kind of fueled our. Like the idea that we had something that people were interested in, we had the right idea, we're on the right track for it. So
yeah, and then probably about a year later, we finally started Twain, and we did it just by making like 5 different kind of like goofy designs, putting them on cheap T-shirts, and we would walk up and down beaches. We would go to town squares and try and sell to anybody who'd give us the time of day. And I just remember like walking down beaches, how tough that could be sometimes, because it's obviously intriguing. I'd walk down with like a big box, just filled with stuff, and some people would either be like, "Oh, like what are you doing?" Be super into it, but like at least 9 out of 10 people, I'd be like, "Hey, like I've made these T-shirts," and like get lost about the beach, like so it could be a little like disheartening. But right off the bat, we knew that we wanted to do something that was kind of unique and different. So we designed the Twain logo that you see here. Well, I didn't design it. Strong designed it. We came up with the name Twain after Mark Twain, because Mark Twain, obviously the great American novelist, super witty, super funny, and totally unique, one of a kind individual.
Ahead of his time.
Yeah, exactly.
In a lot of different ways. Actually, a funny story about our logo. You know this. So that the logo is based on kind of a picture of Mark Twain sitting in a rocking chair on a porch somewhere, and we ended up in our early days. We were doing business with a maritime school. We were doing kind of custom clothing for them, and the owner, which was
Northeast Maritime
Northeast
Academy.
Maritime,
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. DeWicki.
Absolutely, and we had shown him the logo, or he had seen it in our business together, and he said, "Oh, that photo was taken at my house." And we were like, "That's no way."
Well, yeah, no way. Like Mark Twain, the Southerner, like at your house in Fairhaven.
I guess.
And
I guess that was the spot, right?
Well, before the turn of the century, the wealthiest city in the world was New Bedford, and Fairhaven was the town over. And I guess Mark Twain had friends in Fairhaven that he would visit every year. And I always thought it's like the picture of the Mark Twain in the rocking chair, which the silhouette is of, was taken on this big long porch in a rocking chair. So I always just assumed it was somewhere in the South, like some Southern, front porch. He's drinking sweet tea and like smoking his cigar and having a good time. But yeah, it turns out it was in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, where that was taken.
Yeah, so serendipitous. Just another one of those things. Like, yeah, we're doing the right thing here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was a cool story.
So from the beaches to our first line was about a year later. We decided, okay, like let's stop making goofy T-shirts and let's actually get serious about this. And you found a manufacturer in China that we could use as our first manufacturer, because what's tough about being a startup is obviously we don't have the billions of dollars in cash flow that Nike does, where we can kind of find a manufacturer wherever we want. So
I think the way we were doing it originally, like we would buy the wholesale shirts, we'd come with the designs, we'd wait for the shirts to come in, and then we would go to screen printer. And at the time, the logistics just were a little bit too much for us. And we thought maybe we could cut our costs, kind of consolidate everything. So yeah, I found I was on Alibaba. I found some manufacturer, and yeah, it ended up working pretty well for us.
Got us this sweatshirt, that sweatshirt.
It was nice to be able to like customize, from the square one, like the construction of it, every aspect of the clothes we could have like our say in it. So
yeah. So I mean, sometimes I'll have an idea. I'll be like, hey, like, what do you think of this and this? But you obviously do the majority of the design. So one of our best sellers of all time is what I'm wearing right now, which is called the Gatsby. It's just a seersucker pocket and a seersucker hood. Like, what I guess do you think about when you start designing something?
To be honest, a lot of times it's the ideas just kind of come to me. I mean, obviously, I have a general idea of kind of what direction we're going in or what our overall theme is, sort of. But honestly, it's just I have ideas when we're talking, seeing other clothing. Honestly, this idea just came because I've never really seen a hoodie that had mismatched pocket and hood. I just thought it was something unique. When this came out, it was the summertime. We operate a lot in kind of Massachusetts, Cape Cod area, so kind of the seersucker and the white is a very maritime kind of New England theme. Yeah, that's where that came from. I mean, even down like the details, like the little, like I hate when my hoodies fray at the end, so I made sure there's little plastic tips on them.
I haven't had this fray yet.
Yeah,
for like 4 years
exactly.
or so.
Yeah, totally. We got to do like logos on the sleeves. It's really, I think, comes down to me designing clothes that I would really want to wear and solving problems that I see in clothing.
Yeah. What I always find fun for me is that you a lot of times will come up with the design, but then I get to name it. So this, I was like, oh, cool, like seersucker hood, like it's kind of like classy, but it's a hoodie. So I called it the modern day Gatsby.
Yeah, it's great.
And like in charge of the Great Gatsby, obviously.
And then this one classic. You called the Robert Frost, right?
Yeah, after New Hampshire legend Robert Frost.
The plaid was kind of reminiscent of that.
Yeah. So also, I think what's important for us is that the company obviously symbolizes like uniqueness, forward-thinking individuals, but like it's cool to be smart, and
Yeah.
it's cool to have knowledge, and it's cool to want to learn new things. So I think that every piece that we've done, we've tried to really show that off. And obviously, Robert Frost, it was the first poem that I ever had to memorize in school was "Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening" by Robert Frost, and I think I can still recite most of it. I could probably get through most of it and get pretty close, but whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. Stanza, 2 lines, and then I don't know. It's 4 stanzas. I don't remember the third and the next 2 lines, but between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. What are the last 2 lines? Whatever. It'll come to me eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, just somebody from a young age obviously could have such an impact on me that I could still kind of remember that.
Yeah.
And then I still think that's gone through all of our designs. So actually, I'll pull up the video that we did from this summer. But one of our pieces from this summer was the yin and yang fish.
Yeah.
So you decided to do 2 fish that we're looking at. Or,
yeah. Well, that came.
Yeah, maybe you can just explain it a little bit.
Yeah, that came. So the design we had originally was like, it was a square design. It was kind of like a school of fish. I just had this idea of having like a ton of fish kind of, swarming around in a circle, and then just one of them was going the opposite direction, and just kind of, again, going off our message of being unique. But then so we took that design. That was really popular. People loved that. And then this year we came back and people were always asking us, do the fish again, do the fish again. And I wanted to, but I didn't. Again, going back to our main theme is, we don't want to just create clothes that everyone's going to be wearing. So we do things kind of in a limited run. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you got to wait for what's next and hopefully, find something else.
Get your hands on that.
Yeah, exactly. So the yin and yang just came because it's, not only are you going against the grain, but, everything in balance, and just kind of came together. But
yeah, I love that design. And then I obviously got to name it, and I named it the Salmon Run because salmon are born in a freshwater stream. They live their entire lives in a saltwater environment, and then they move back to the stream that they were born in, have their young, and then they immediately die. So I think that's kind of cool that it's you kind of get that circle of life where everything kind of flows within one another. So when we went to make the video for the shirt, I thought who better to voice the background of the video than Bruce Lee, another total individual. So we'll watch that real quick.
This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Yeah, thank you to Austin DiPietro who put that together for us.
Yeah, he does great work.
Yeah, he really does. And it was a lot of help for us putting that together because I don't think that we could have done that nice of a video on our own. Yeah. And that's what I like about kind of being small is that I think it's really forced us to use our resources and our friends and anybody we meet and making videos, doing photo shoots, doing a podcast like this. Like we've had to really make sure that we use every resource that we have available to us.
Absolutely.
So great job, obviously, on the salmon run design.
Yeah,
So everything we've done has been in like a limited quantity of less than 60. Some stuff's been, we've done like, probably the smallest I think we've done is just like 5 of a shirt. And then the largest we've done is 60 of a product.
It's always 60 is always the maximum.
Yeah.
You never do more than 60.
So in staying with that theme of making sure that we do things in a limited run, it's unique, it's once in a lifetime shirt or sweatshirt that you're going to get. I guess right now would be the perfect time to announce that we're kind of not switching business model, but changing things up a little bit. So we're not just going to do designs that are unique and once in a lifetime in limited quantity. We're still going to do all that, but we wanted to make sure that we were keeping ourselves as forward thinking as someone like Mark Twain was, looking towards the future of what the clothing industry could look like. And we wanted to make sure that Twain Clothiers had a real social impact. So what we're going to do moving forward is start doing limited edition collabs with charities where we make one product or multiple products specific for a charity that will be limited edition, limited run, and when you buy one of those products, half of the profits from that product will go to the charity, which we thought was a perfect way to create money for different like incredible causes that we've seen
absolutely,
you know, locally around the world. And the first one that we decided to do it for was the Tucker Francis Fund. So our freshman year of college, so 4 years ago, coming up on 4 years ago or 3 years ago. Yeah, because we're both seniors in college now. One of our close friends from high school passed away in a unfortunate snorkeling accident. He shallow water blacked out, and like unfortunately lost like someone who was a huge light in our life.
Yeah, he was one of the nicest kids at our school. I mean, you know, no one had anything bad to say about him, and nor did he have anything bad to say about anybody else. You know, just a nice kid. I mean, smart, great athlete, like total star in my book. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, being able to have him as like one of my close friends, playing lacrosse with him for 3 years, sitting next to him in our chapel services every day. Like just one of the nicest individuals I've ever met. So 3 of our friends, Vaughn, Willie, and Finn, decided to start a fund in his name when about 3 or 4 months after he had passed. And the money created from the fund would go to 2 scholarships given every 3 years in Tucker's name for students to study in the Caribbean. And when they asked me to get involved, it was a no-brainer for me. And I've been able to do a ton of work with the fund. And at this point, we've surpassed $100,000, which will endow the 2 scholarships forever. So every 3 years, forever, there's going to be 3 scholarships in Tucker's name. And then any more money that the fund raises, we'll just keep endowing more and more scholarships, and we'll do other things in Tucker's name.
Absolutely.
And Tucker's motto was always to just be nice. Like you can be a lot of things in life, but all you have to do is just be nice. And we thought that that would be the perfect charity to do our first collab with. And at this point, I think as much as raising money for the fund has been important, what's most important now is keeping Tucker's memory and his legacy alive. And we've done that through the fund by doing Tucker Fest, which was a big kind of festival with different like activities that Tucker loved. So we had live music because Tucker played guitar. We had volleyball going. We had frisbee going. The waterfront was open, so people were swimming. And the event that I've always been able to kind of spearhead was the Tucker Francis Memorial Lacrosse game. So I'll show you a quick video from that. That was also put together by Austin DiPietro and was announced by our friend Bailey Kennedy. So let's cut to that real quick.
Opening draw here for the Tucker Francis tournament. And Team White, look, knocking it free, and they come down with possession. So White will start off with the ball. And Team Blue causes the turnover. They're going to push it in transition. They feed in goal. Tucker Francis, 1-0 Team Blue.
Looks like a great time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to be able to do that and play in Tuck's memory and in Tuck's honor. And I think what was cool about that is every single person who was on the field had a shirt on. You're either on Team Blue or Team White, which have been the two colors of the fund, and every single person's name on the back was Francis. So every assist, every ground ball, every goal, every hit, every takeaway, every poke check, whatever, it was all, every face-off win was Tucker Francis, which was a lot of fun, as you kind of heard Bailey announcing there. And taking that idea of playing in Tuck's honor, like Tuck always, I got to play lacrosse with Tucker for 3 years, and he'd always play the right way, always a great teammate, always smiling, like the ideal sportsman, played the game the right way. So we really wanted to make sure we were honoring Tuck with that. And I think moving on to our first collab, we really wanted to make sure that it embodied everything that Tucker was and his saying was be nice. So we put that right across the front. And this is just a mock-up of what the hoodies will look like. But
variation on them.
They'll be embroidered in the front and it'll say be nice. And then underneath the hood on the back, you have the Twain logo times the Tucker A. Francis Scholarship Fund logo. And there's only going to be 32 hoodies, 2 obviously at the end because Tucker's number in lacrosse was always number 2. And it's going to be embroidered on the front, embroidered on the back, and half of all the proceeds will go to the Tucker Francis Scholarship Fund. So how did you think about kind of like, how did you come up with the idea for the design?
I think, even taking a step back to just where our motivations are for this, from the beginning, it's like, when you're a charity, kind of word of mouth and people talking about your cause is the most important thing. And I think a lot of the times with kind of merchandising for this stuff, it's very very general. It's very kind of cookie cutter. You just put the logo on a shirt and give it away or sell it. But I think art is one of those universal languages. And I think for something like this, a really important cause, you want to be starting a conversation. I know when you have kind of an artistic take on something, people ask you about it. They come up to you. They want to know what it's about, and that gives the wearer an opportunity to start a conversation about the cause. And in this case, our good, Tucker Francis, the fund. So, we wanted something that stood out, that was kind of intriguing for people, that looked good, because you want to be able to wear these clothes. You want to, and so, we wanted to kind of incorporate elements of Tucker while still making it a unique hoodie. And I think this kind of encapsulates all that. We have his quote. It's got the color of the fund, and then on the back it has the 2 logos to kind of just, show who's responsible. But it's
I don't know about you, but really what I'm hoping for is that people who are wearing it are just like walking around with the be nice across the chest, and people are like, oh, that's cool, like, be nice. And then they're like, oh, it's my friend Tucker, he always said be nice, check out the website. And then hopefully that brings people closer to Tucker, and hopefully it carries on his legacy a little bit too, of just being a good person. And if you're nice and you're a good person, I feel like everything else kind of comes secondary.
Absolutely.
So I think this is probably a good spot to wrap it up. I think that the Tucker Francis Fund is a great cause and close to our hearts as our first collab with a charity.
Absolutely.
And obviously we're gonna have many more coming in the future. And like I said, the Be Nice hoodie, half of all proceeds from it will go to the Tucker A. Francis Fund.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you wanted to, put in
No,
there
man,
before
I
about
think-
anything
I
at
think
all?
we
Or
said
did
it. It's been
we
great
said
sitting
everything we
down
wanted to talk
talking about it. Check out the website. Yeah.
I think the website is
We got good things.
tuckerafrancisfund.com. Our website obviously is twain.clothiers.com. We'll be launching that soon. We'll give
Very
you guys
soon.
a heads up before we launch, but like I said, only 32, so you're going to have something that's as unique and as much of an individual as Tucker was,
Absolutely.
and you're going to be able to showcase something that's for an awesome cause. So,
Good.
hey, thanks for coming on the first
Thanks for having me, man. Absolutely.
pod, Sterling, and we'll see you guys on the next pod. Thank you.